Namaste. So I'd like to introduce the theme of these classes, and that is less is more. So I've been reading about how muscles stretch and how the process of stretching and the effects of stretching on the muscles and how muscles are affected by the stretch. And in the course of my reading, I discovered this interesting fact that where somebody has a perpetually tight hamstring or tight shoulder, when that person is anaesthetized and therefore the central nervous system put to sleep, we discover that those muscles aren't in fact tight and that joint isn't tight and that there is full unrestricted movement in that joint. So that leads to the conclusion that the central nervous system is playing a role and restricting the movement in that joint. So it's almost as if the central nervous system is acting as an emergency brake. So in effect, perpetually trying to overstretch a muscle, trying to lengthen it beyond where that emergency brake goes. And maybe that emergency brake feels like that juddering and shuddering in a muscle that we get when we're right at the edge of the stretch. And there's nothing we can do about that emergency brake because that is an unconscious central nervous system effect which will effectively clamp the muscle tighter. And if we insist on going beyond that emergency brake, we could end up, or we risk injury and pain. So what we're going to do this month, we're going to look at some of the poses in yoga, and also I'm borrowing some movements from Somatics and other movement disciplines to attempt to try and reset those emergency brakes. So we're trying to retrain, if you like, the brain to allow for proper stretching to occur. So this month we're going to look at small movements, and rather than think about them in some sort of quantifying sense or measure our progress in inches or nanometers or by degree of stretch, we're going to rather monitor how the muscles feel. So it's all about being present in the practice and experiencing the sensations within the body and making small repetitive movements in order to try and reset the central nervous system. And so hopefully we can retrain the brain to allow those muscles to stretch comfortably. So with our theme in mind, less is more, we're going to begin the practice today by just exploring the sensations in the joints as they are right now. So you may need a bolster or a pillow or a rolled up thick towel or blanket, and park that somewhere close to your mat. And then we're going to start supine. So again, you might need a block or a half block or a pillow or something under the folded blanket under the head. That depends on you. So chin tucked in, so the chin is slightly lower than the forehead. Elbows away from the body and the hands palms up. Drawing your attention to the breath as it passes through the openings of the nostrils. And let your eyelids softly close. And let the face relax. And just taking a few breaths here, asking yourself, how do I feel? And don't dodge that question. Don't just give yourself the stock answer. If you're feeling a bit vigorous, full of energy, then that's obviously going to have an effect on your practice. Likewise, if you're feeling a little lazy, a little tired, acknowledge it. So we're just going to begin by exploring the sensations in the arms and shoulders. So let's start off by just moving your attention to the left hand, the left arm, and all the way up to the left shoulder. How does your left shoulder feel? And it might be that there's a little stiffness in that joint. It might be that you've got a sore wrist or a sore arm from something you've been doing. Again, remember, any sensation is not good or not bad. We're not judging the sensations here. We're just allowing ourselves to acknowledge them. And then maybe lift the hand, but keep the elbow on the ground and start to slide the elbow along the floor. So the elbow is maybe shoulder height or perhaps even higher. Maybe just slightly above the height of the shoulder. But the elbow stays on the ground. Remember, it's not goal driven. So as you gradually, perhaps breath at a time, begin to move the elbow, make sure that you don't roam where the body starts to tense, keeping the body entirely relaxed. What are the sensations of this stretch? Perhaps you can feel the side of your chest and the armpit and the upper arm gently stretching as you're breathing. So there'll be an opportunity to find that stretch on the inhale and to soften any tension on the exhale. And after half a dozen full breaths, or at the first sign of any tension or discomfort in that shoulder, arm or armpit, equally gently lift the hand and slide the elbow back down and release. And just note, even at this early stage, can you feel the effects of that stretch? How does that arm feel compared with the right arm? Okay, so very gently, again, lift the right hand, but leave the upper arm on the ground and slide that elbow along the floor, perhaps about the height of the shoulder or just a bit beyond, but certainly not where you need to push, yeah? Wherever the joint moves to easily. Allow the hand to drop to the floor and the arm bones to settle into the ground. And use the breath. So every in-breath, there's a stretching sensation in the arm, the armpit, the right side of the rib cage. And every exhale is an opportunity to soften. No effort anywhere. Just enjoying that sensation. Feeling that breath moving into that space you have created. And then again, in the next breath or two, lift the hand and draw the elbow closer to the body. And then park that hand on the floor. Again, you don't have to be symmetrical in the arms. And again, just exploring the sensations across the arms, the chest, the shoulders. Lifting both hands now, and again slide the upper arms across the floor. Moving into a comfortable stretch. The hands might be slightly closer to or further away, that doesn't matter, but the hands and elbows stay on the floor. Letting your breath do the stretching and using the exhale to soften. Your arms don't have to be symmetrical. Remember, you may have restricted movement in one shoulder. So don't worry about how it looks. Try not to judge your efforts as being good or bad. And we're looking to spend about a minute in this stretch. That might be half a dozen breaths. It might be more. And again, all the while you're focusing in the sensations in the arms and shoulders. And if you notice any tension, any rigidity, then see if you can use that breath out to release and relax. Maybe gently reparking the shoulders to make them more comfortable. And any posture held for any length of time will eventually become tiring and your muscles will get fatigued. So lift your hands, and perhaps one at a time, Park your elbows slightly away from the body. Roll the arms away from the body. Turn the hands, palms up. And we'll take a few breaths to rest here. So sometimes we begin to become aware of sensations, tingling, warmth, all the way down the arm now to the tips of the fingers. Okay, so maybe bring the right foot in a bit so you can comfortably park your foot just in front of the sit bone and lift the left knee to the chest. And then just start to explore how that leg feels by stretching, lifting the foot up towards the ceiling as you inhale. And softening the leg, knee to chest as you exhale. Inhale, reaching up with the sole of the foot. Careful not to go anywhere where you're trembling and shaking. And as you breathe out, softening the toes, the ankle, the calf muscle, the knee and the thigh bone. Knee to chest. Inhale, extending the leg, flexing the ankle, lifting the foot, and exhaling, softening. So again, the protocol here is to move with the breath into and out of the stretch, just kind of knocking on the door of the stretch and paying just as much attention to turning the muscles off when you're exhaling. So if you feel comfortable to keep that leg raised, I suggest you maybe move your hands to the thigh. Link your hands, relax the elbows, make sure the shoulders stay settled. Maybe just bring the chin to the throat so you're gazing upwards towards your foot. And find comfortable with the leg. So often when we lift the left leg, we roll a little to the right. So just make sure you feel an even back print. And then perhaps I'm going to make very small movements with the breath. Maybe I'm just going to flex the foot. Feeling that stretching sensation down the back of my leg at the peak of the breath. And relax the foot on the exhale. Beginning to use the abdominal muscles to ensure that that back print stays steady. Checking for signs of tension around the knee or in the thigh, which should stay relaxed. One more stretch. But the leg doesn't have to be fully extended to feel a stretch by any stretch. Pardon the pun. And then either on the next breath out, or perhaps if your leg is starting to feel trembly or shaky, you can soften the knee, bring the foot down, release your arms and drop your foot to the floor. And then slide the leg away so it's fully extended on the floor. Again, park your hands, head and shoulders. Noticing the sensations in the left leg. Feel the sensations from the toes, through the foot and ankle, calf muscle, knee, thigh, all the way up to the hip. And then we're going to start exactly the same exploration with the right foot, right leg. So park the leg, the left leg heel close to the buttock. Settle that footprint into the ground, lift the right knee to the chest. So at first we move on the breath, maybe half a dozen stretches, maybe more, maybe less. Inhaling, sole of the foot reaching up towards the ceiling. And then relax the foot, the ankle, the calf, the knee, the thigh, bringing the thigh to the chest or belly to thigh, thigh towards the belly as you exhale. It's almost as if your breath is inflating that leg like a balloon. And remember, if you notice you're trying to stretch to the very end of the stretch, try and hold yourself back. Remember, this work is not goal-driven. You want to avoid any signs of stress in the leg, any trembling or shaking. That might be an indicator that that emergency brake is about to switch on. Avoiding any unnecessary tension in the thigh or in the kneecap. And taking care that your back print stays steady. So we're just really assessing, stock taking. What is the natural range of movement and the sensations of my right leg as it stretches? And really, it doesn't matter what you used to be able to do when you were 18, what you think you should be able to do. We're just interested in how it actually is. And if you're quite happy with that leg extended, and you're going to hold that extended leg position, maybe support the weight of your thigh bone using your arms, but make sure this doesn't disturb your shoulders or your neck. And maybe we're just going to play with the stretch by hinging at the ankle. The thigh and knee muscles stay relaxed. And as you inhale, you maybe just make the smallest movement with the foot. Toes pointing towards the floor behind you as you inhale to find the stretch. And releasing, hinging the toes up towards the ceiling as you exhale. Keeping that right hip heavy. And it might be that after half a dozen breaths, maybe more, maybe less, your leg starts to feel heavy. Don't forget you're challenging your circulation with this posture with the leg raised foot to ceiling. So maybe in the next breath or so, you can begin that process of releasing. Relax the foot, the ankle, the calf, the knee. Bring that foot down. Release the back of the thigh. Place your hands back on the floor beside you and park that leg. Foot to floor first, and then if you can, extending that leg away from you. And whilst you let go of any tension in that right leg, explore the sensations. Notice there's been sensations in the foot, the ankle, the sole of the foot, the toes. Working your way up the leg from the ankle, the calf muscle, behind the knee, the kneecap, around the thigh bone, all the way into the hip and buttock. Allow that energy, that prana, that breath perhaps to flow all the way into the leg as you're breathing in. And release any tension as you exhale. And then maybe gently draw that foot in. Park it closer to the bottom. Again, it doesn't matter whether your feet are slightly wider or narrower than your hips, whatever's comfortable for your hips, and we're just going to take a few breaths here. Come back to the sensation of the breath. And then very, 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 very gently extend your left leg and roll onto the left side. And this is where you might need your bolster, your blanket, your folded up towel or pillow, so that you can rest with the left on the left shoulder, with the left arm stretched out in front of you. And my thighs are about perpendicular to the body, as if I was sitting on a chair. And I'm going to bring my feet forward so that I have my feet, or my heels, under the knees. So it's as if I'm sitting on a chair. Right hand on top of the left hand. You probably might find that the right hand is a little shorter. Relax the chin. Maybe bring the chin down. So the next breath out, you're going to push that right hand gently, rolling forward. So your face will roll towards the floor. And as you breathe in, draw that right shoulder back as far as it will move you back without bending the arm.
So my right shoulder moves forward, my neck rolls forward, and my face rolls forward towards the floor. And as I'm breathing in, I roll back. And the hand comes back up, sliding along the left arm. So again, it's not about doing this better than anyone else or better than you did last week. This isn't goal driven. We're just sliding backwards and forwards, rolling backwards and forwards. So therefore, the left shoulder is getting a massage. And this movement of the arm is coming from the right shoulder. Hand moves forwards as you exhale and draw the arm back as you inhale. One more time. And then when you next exhale, come back to neutral to rest comfortably with your hands palm to palm. Take a few breaths to rest. Just explore the sensations in that right shoulder. And then very slowly and gently, you're going to roll onto your right side with the right arm extended in front of you. On the floor, the legs, left leg parked on top of the right leg with the thigh bones perpendicular to the body, as if you're sitting on a chair. Again, support the head so that it's comfortable. And again, notice where the left hand is resting on the right at this stage in the practice. When you're ready, on an out breath, sliding that left hand, reaching forward, allowing your face to roll forward, your chest to roll forwards. Inhaling without bending the arm. Draw that left hand up the right arm. So on the breath then, exhaling, sliding the fingertip forwards. Inhaling, drawing that left hand back. So go at your own pace. Again, remind yourself this is not goal driven. So if you find yourself reaching beyond where you're comfortable or making an effort of any kind, please try not to. Don't forget, we may resist this work. We may be feeling, oh, this isn't doing anything at all. We may be so programmed to believe that unless it's hurting, unless we're straining, it's not doing any good. So just take an open mind and move super gently. Rolling over that right shoulder, so that right shoulder is receiving a massage. Couple more breaths. we finish on an exhale, bringing the hands palm to palm. And then very gently and slowly, maybe one at a time. If you're roll on the right side, you put the left foot on the floor and you gently and slowly roll back so that you're supine. Again, you may or may not need that block, that pillow, that blanket, that bolster underneath the back of the head. So the chin is tilted slightly downwards. Park your arms away from the body. And notice the sensations across the shoulder. Maybe you'll need to re-park the shoulders. Feel the upper back and the space between the shoulders. Now I'm going to park the left foot heel to hip, or as close as you can, and slide the left leg away. Hands down, elbows softened. So what I'm now doing is I'm going to imagine a button just in front of that knee. So I'm imagining that I've got some button to press just in front of that knee. Okay. So make sure the toes are pointing the same way as the front of the shin. And then as you exhale, see if you can press that knee forward gently to push that button. And as you inhale, relax that body. Let the hips settle. So notice that as you're pressing that knee button, feel the footprint press into the floor. Maybe the right hip lifts just a touch. Exhale, push the button. Inhale, relax. Some of you might be able to hold it briefly. Exhale, push the button. Take a breath here. Exhale, relax. And look, you can see this is not a big movement. You don't want to let that thigh bone roll inwards or outwards. You're trying to keep that thigh bone in alignment and the weight even on the foot, so you're not pushing in the left side or the right side of the foot. Push the button as you breathe out. Maybe take a breath in here. And exhaling. Feeling your skeleton settle back into the floor. Once or twice more. Exhale, push the button. Take a breath here. Feel the stretch and the lift in the hip. And as you breathe out, release and feel your skeleton leveling itself up on the floor. Bend the left knee. Park the foot, facing forwards, parallel with the spine. Again, before we go anywhere, notice anything. Notice any sensations in both hips. And then slide the right leg away, keeping the leg in line with the spine. If you don't like your leg being fully extended, then put a rolled up towel or blanket behind the knee. So making sure that leg doesn't drop in or flop out and the footprint stays even. Pushing the button on the exhale. Releasing as you inhale. So remember, it's not a real button. There isn't actually a target. It's only a small movement. Maybe you can hardly see it. And if you feel comfortable, then you can exhale, push the button, take a breath here, feel that hip and belly rise. And release as you exhale. Feel that skeleton, feel that pelvis leveling itself out. Twice more. Push the button as you exhale. Take a breath in here. Feel that belly and the hip lift. Relax as you exhale. One more time. And then some of you might want to have resting here with both knees bent, both feet on the floor. Some of you might want to stretch that left leg away. Maybe move your feet so that they're further wider than your hips with your feet towards the corners of your mat. Relax all the muscles around the knees and the ankles so the toes flop out to the side. Again, park your arms away from the body with the hands, palms up, and we'll just take a few breaths here. Feeling the sensations in the elbow and in the arms, or the shoulders and the hips, in the joints, in the corners of the torso, if you like. And see if those movements that we have created, or see if with those movements we have created a bit of space. Maybe there's a little bit of movement as you're breathing. in the hips and in the shoulders. And then very slowly and very gently, bring those feet closer, one leg at a time. Maybe you'll need to lift and repark your tailbone. Maybe you'll want to nestle the space between your shoulders, so you're establishing a comfortable back print in the position where we started. And then very, very slowly and gently roll onto your right side. Again, you may need a pillow underneath your head, or perhaps you can rest on your elbow, having the elbow under the shoulder. And again, a handy tip here is to move to the back edge of the mat, because then you can use the mat to bring the body into alignment. I'm putting my elbow my hip and my feet just in front of the edge of my mat, so that I'm confident I'm in a straight line, I'm in alignment. Again, if you don't want to be resting on the elbow, you can always find a compromise. Maybe drape the upper body on your pillow or bolster. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is put my hand on my waist, and that's just to keep my elbow facing up towards the ceiling. And then I'm going to use that elbow just to check that I'm not rocking my pelvis backwards and forwards. So the first movement I'm going to do is lifting the top foot, keeping the knees together. And again, it really doesn't matter whether you feel like you want to lift the foot on the inhale or the exhale. Whatever feels right to you. Feel the muscles in the back and under your hand working. And notice that what we're doing here is we're slightly inwardly rotating that upper thigh. Again, it's not goal driven. So you only lift that foot as high as it feels comfortable. You can always have something between the knees if working like this knee to knee is not comfortable. And then if that was easy, if that was not uncomfortable anyway, maybe you could bring your left hand over your head to hold under the head by the ear. And as you lift your leg, you lift the head a bit. So now you're lifting the foot and the head, but I'm just using my left hand to support the weight of the head. I'm not pulling. And then release your left arm. Maybe remove that bolster. Move it up so you can rest on it as a pillow again. And roll back to neutral. And let's just see the effects of that stretch. No tension anywhere, not judging those sensations, perhaps noticing any asymmetry as a result of that asymmetrical stretch. And having the patience to take half a dozen breaths, just doing absolutely nothing. And then perhaps unsurprisingly, I'm going to ask you now to roll over onto your left side so that we can bring in that stretch in the opposite side of the body. So now we're coming onto the left side. Again, settle. Maybe rest your upper body, your head, your arm on the bolster or the blanket. And we're beginning to lift the lower leg, okay? So hand in the waist, just to make sure that you're using that elbow, awareness of the elbow, so that you're not rocking backwards and forwards. And having the feet, your hips and your shoulders in a straight line. And then very gently begin to lift the lower leg, rolling the thigh inwards. Careful not to push too far so that you're rolling that hip. You're lifting the lower leg away from the upper leg, away from the lower leg, rolling on the knee. If it's uncomfortable with your knees together, you can always put something between your knees. It's not a big movement, but notice how that upper thigh is rolling inwards. No strain. One more time. Make it easy. And then rest that upper leg. Let any tension disappear out of that thigh muscle. And then we keep the feet together and we lift the knee. So again, try not to let the hip roll backwards so that you know the effort and that movement is coming from the thigh muscle and the muscle in your buttock, and you can possibly feel those muscles under your hand in the back and around the waist. Careful not to lift a bit beyond what's comfortable. There's no need to make an effort or strain. Try not to wobble on the hips. Keep one hip stacked above the other. And perhaps you'd like to continue with either of those, but if you feel strong enough, you can lift both feet. Again, they don't come up too high. And then lifting the top leg away from the bottom leg with both feet raised. Gently up and down. Try not to wobble and rock on those hips. Keeping the breath steady, keeping the hips steady. One more. And then as you bring the knee down, bring your feet down, rest those lower legs, let any tension disappear out of the thighs, out of the buttocks. And then the right hand goes all the way over the head, maybe holding the bottom of the head. Fingertips reaching down to the ear, and then we lift the lower leg and the head. The hand is just supporting the weight of the neck, not pulling. As if you're trying to make the head weightless in the hand. Lift the foot and the head as high as you comfortably can, and then lower. Twice more. And then we come down to rest. Roll over onto the back. If you don't need that pillow or blanket behind the head, you can remove it. And settle back to the floor with your feet comfortably parked. Perhaps a little bit further from you, perhaps a little wider than hip width. Doesn't really matter as long as they're comfortable. And just feel the sensations around the hips and buttocks. Allow the head to feel heavy and the shoulders to drop. Noticing any sensations in the hips, the thighs, in fact anywhere. And then very slowly and gently roll onto the side, knees bending. Use your hands to peel yourself off the floor. And we're going to finish with a sitting stretch. So I'm going to start with my right leg extended and my left foot maybe just away from the center, on the floor, out of the way. I'm going to put my hand on the floor, my right hand behind my hip. Maybe just lean into that hand a bit just to keep you upright. And then you slide your hand as you breathe out, reaching down and forward. And inhale, come up again. Breathing out, reaching forward, feel the weight roll to the right side. Maybe your left hip is lifting, doesn't really matter. Slide the hand back, breathing in. Slide forward, brushing your hand lightly along the floor, breathing out. Come back to neutral as you inhale.
take it gentle. Let the head drop. Next time, keeping your hand on the floor, but have your hand on the inside of the leg. Sweep the hand down as you breathe out. Finish the breath out. Sweep the hand back as you breathe in. Reach forward as you breathe out, sweeping the inside of the thigh, all the way possibly down the calf to the ankle. Gently back, breathing in. Maybe you could imagine, you don't have to do it, but maybe you could imagine your nose is touching the knee. Bring the chin down. And then maybe the next time you go forward, you might imagine that your lips are kissing the knee. Again, you don't have to do this. No strain. Now the head drop. As if you were going to kiss your knee. And then next time, maybe you can imagine that your chin is coming down towards the knee. Again, you don't have to do it. Maybe just imagine it. What does it feel like to have that chin reach the knee? And then all the way back. And then maybe just wrap that left arm out of the way, rest it, draped over your left knee. Right hand down the inside of the leg, reach forward as you breathe out, sliding that hand down the outside of the leg to the ankle, maybe even to the foot. And breathe in, coming back. Don't worry if you're rocking on the sit bones. Exhale, slide forward gently. Inhale, come back gently. Next time you stretch forward, find a comfortable place and we'll stay there a few breaths. You don't have to strain the arms, so settle the arms so that you're supported on the back of the leg and the arm bone. Bring the left hand forward. Maybe you'll need to soften the knee a bit to hold around the bottom of the foot. And your weight is dropping into the right elbow. And then find what you need to do to roll to the left and bring the left elbow down to the floor. Roll to the right elbow, lifting the left. And then taking the weight left again, drop the left elbow to the floor. And then gently rocking to the right. And notice how every time you do this, that movement gets a little bit easier, a little less jerky. Rocking from the left elbow. And then all the way onto the right. One more time. And then try and find a neutral position where both elbows are resting on the ground. Maybe
You can slide that leg away a little bit. Allow that leg to lengthen. No tension in the knees, soft foot. Press the belly into the thigh as you breathe in. Lengthen the spine. And then drop the chin as if you're going to kiss your knee. Equal weight in both elbows. The left leg is entirely uninvolved. Take a few breaths here, feeling the stretch around the waist, feeling that any sensations down the back of the leg. Make sure that knee isn't locking or uncomfortable. Let's just be here a few breaths. And then super gently, no rush, find an easy way to come back to neutral, back to the floor. Again, if you want to stay resting with bent legs, then that's absolutely fine. You might choose to have the legs fully extended. That is entirely up to you. And we're just here for a few breaths just to feel the sensations of that stretch. Notice any effects on the body. Notice any asymmetry. What's going on down that right side? And then bend the left knee, or roll onto the right side, and use your hands to gently come back up to sitting. And this time we're going to stretch the left leg in front of us and have the right leg out to the side, out of the way. Left hand behind the back, you don't remember where your hand is, as long as it's taking some weight, helping you sit upright. Hands sliding on the floor. Press it gently forwards as you exhale. Coming back to upright as you inhale. Okay, if you need to move that right leg further out the way, then that's absolutely fine. But don't forget, you might find the weight shifting from one sit bone into one sit bone. That doesn't matter for this. We're gently sliding the hand forward on the exhale. No strain. And coming back to upright on the inhale. So tuck the chin in when you come forward next time. Let the chest and shoulders come down, chin forward, dropping the forehead. This time we're going to slide the hand down the inside of the leg. So fingers on the floor, little finger on the floor, sweeping the palm of the hand down the inside of the leg. As far as you can reach, don't strain. And then it doesn't matter if you can actually do it or not. Next time we're going to come forward. We imagine that our nose is reaching the knee. Next time we're going to imagine, maybe visualizing, that as you sweep that hand forward and breathing out, you're kissing your knee. And then maybe next time when we come forward, your chin is reaching the knee. You don't have to do it, we're just visualizing.
And then wrap your arm when next to your upright. Put your right arm over the right knee, rest it on the shin bone, left hand sliding down the outside of the leg as you exhale. Inhale, slide the hand up the outside of the leg as you come back to neutral. We're going to do this 3 or 4 times on the breath, sliding the hand down the outside of the leg towards the ankle or the foot, resting on the elbow. Inhale, coming back. Again, no need to straighten the arm, no need to strain. And then next time when we go forward, we're going to stay there. So again, soften the arm. It doesn't matter where your hand is, reaching on your foot, ankle, calf. And you might need to bring, unless you're reaching the bottom of your foot, you might need to bend a little bit that knee, that left leg, so that you can reach with both hands underneath your foot. And notice how your weight is dropping into the left elbow. So maybe you need to adjust the position of that right foot in order to rock very gently over the sit bone to drop the right elbow to the floor. And then maybe taking a breath here. And then on the exhale, roll the left elbow to the floor. Rocking to the right elbow. And then to the left. So it's really slowly. Notice how it ends up a little bit odd, a bit awkward. And how when we repeat this movement, it becomes more and more gentle, more and more easy as the brain learns what needs to be done. And it's entirely up to you how far you roll over, moving the weight from elbow to elbow. So we started rolled onto the left elbow. We finish with a roll onto the right elbow. And then maybe coming back to neutral, so you've got equal weight in both elbows. See if you can negotiate with that leg to move the foot further away. You might want to creep your elbows forward so you're still holding the foot. No trembling or shaking in that knee. The thigh and the knee of that left extended leg are entirely soft and relaxed. Bring the chin down to kiss your knee. And take a few breaths here. Feel the stretch as you breathe in the back body. Both elbows resting on the floor. And then super gently, super slowly, Coming all the way back up. Bring your legs together. Maybe slide the hips forward and roll onto the back in an easy way. No strain. Put something under the head if you need to. Straighten your legs if you want to, and just rest. And just feel the sensations in the legs. Notice the sensation in the leg, the lower back, on the left side of the body. And then very slowly and gently bend the knees, roll onto the side. Use your arms to float up. And we need to find ourselves now a comfortable sitting position for the pranayama. So if sitting on the floor for 10 minutes doesn't sound much like your idea of fun, then just don't, grab a chair, sit against a wall, on a block or a pile of cushions, whatever it takes, so that you can sit comfortably, so that we can breathe. Again, if your legs are sitting cross-legged but they're raised, might be worth putting something underneath the shins just to let the legs rest onto something. Hands on the thighs, palms up. Do what you need to do to bring that spine into a vertical position, not leaning left or right. Reaching upwards with the crown of the head. You can use that Chinese idea of the sky hook, reaching up out of the crown to hook into the heavens above you. Closing the eyes. So if you stiffened or tightened the muscles in the back or around the belly too much and there's any sense of rigidity, try and let that go, but still keep the length in the spine. So this time we're going to use some sound. And we're going to make the humming bee breath. So we breathe in and out through the nose. And as you exhale, you make a humming sound. When you run out of hum, you release any tension in the belly, trying not to tense the throat. Trying to keep that hum soft and gentle and steady. Breathe in through the nose. Hum as you breathe out. Again, it's not a competition. It doesn't have to be an overly long hum. Listen out for any warbling or signs of tension in the throat. Breathing in through the nose. Hum as you breathe out. Those of you who can, maybe you could direct the next few hums into the space between the eyebrows or behind the forehead. Notice there how I raise the pitch. One more. And again, just check that you're still comfortable, you're still upright. Sometimes we lean forward or back, so maybe we're leaning. So just to modify that so that you know you're comfortable and upright. Maybe have a sigh or a yawn or a swallow to relax the throat. Let go of any modifications to the breath. Let the breath do its own thing. No sense of reaching out or grasping for a deeper breath. But allowing the body to take the breath that it needs. Take your time. And for the next half a dozen breaths, we're just going to pretend we're humming. So we're silently humming, aiming our attention, maybe looking up with the eyes towards the forehead, filling your head with that silent hum. Silently humming on the exhale, projecting that hum into the inside of the forehead, into the space inside the skull. One more time. And then take a breath or two, maybe a sigh. Adjust your sitting position. Just check that you're upright, balanced. And allow the breath to settle. Allow the breath to be quiet. Don't remember when you're breathing a calm breath, nobody else should be hearing you breathe. Breathing just the breath that you need. So now would be a great time, whenever you are ready, to release yourself. You can sit for longer if you choose, but I suggest that as soon as this sitting position is getting uncomfortable, any sign of rigidity, any sign of discomfort, move to the floor so you can rest the body completely in Shavasana. Don't hurry, take your time. And I'm now going to take my opportunity to put my hands into the heart space. After many years, I've recently learned that I've been saying this wrong. So please forgive me if I've sold you a shtuma. The heart space is not anahata, but anahata. The anahata. Namaste.